So very good morning. Welcome to the second lecture of Signals and System. So this particular lecture is about CT and DT signals. Okay, so what we are going to study today is CT and DT signals. So this is what is the topic for today's lecture. Friends, in the last lecture, we got introduced to signals and system. We understood what is signal, what is system, right? So what we said, what we discussed in the last lecture was signal is something which conveys information, right? So we gave many examples. We discussed about the real-time examples, right? Radio waves, the ECG signal, EEG signal, right? The biomedical signals, all the sensory signals, right? So many examples we discussed and we understood what is signal. And then we reformed the definition of signal by saying that signal is something, signal is can be represented with a set of one or more independent variables, right? So we saw what is independent variable. Independent variable can be time, position, distance, temperature, all these can be independent variables. We even saw that signals can be categorized into one-dimensional signal, two-dimensional signal, depending upon function, whether the signal is function of one independent variable or two independent variable or three independent variable and so on. So if the signal is function of more than one independent variable, it is called as a multi-dimensional signal, right? So even we saw how to denote the signal, right? So with this we went to introduction of system. What do we saw about system? So system is one which processes the signal and gives you the desired form of output, right? So system, examples of system that we studied was amplifiers, then we studied filters. All these are system. Why? Because they take input, modify it and give you a transformed output. So output is entirely different from input, and such a black box you call it as a system. Then we introduced ourselves to CT and DT signals also. We just gave a touch to that. So let us start with the CT and DT signals and let us go into the depth of it today. So what you see today here on the slide is a comparison of again a CT and DT signal that I had shown in the last lecture. So you could see here, how is the CT signal? What is the independent variable here? Yes, it is the time t. Whereas what is the independent variable for DT signal? It is n. The independent variable is n for discrete signal. It is t for CT signal. Then what is a CT signal? CT signal is one which is measured for all instants of time. Right? So if you see here, this signal is present for all instants of time. I know the value of this signal for each and every instant of time. There is not a single instant of time where I have missed the information about the signal, right? So that is why you call this signal to be a CT signal, right? Where the independent variable is t and the independent variable takes all values at all instants of time, right? If I talk about DT signal, right? So DT signal is one which is measured at discrete instants of time, right? So I see here the signal is measured only at instants like -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. What are all these? These are discrete instants of time. Right. Then what about the signal information in the instant between 0 to 1? What do I know about this signal? I don't know here because the signal is undefined. We cannot predict it. But I can surely tell what is the signal at the time of measurement. So I measured the signal at time instant 1. So I surely know that signal has so and so value at the time instant 1. Right. Similarly, at time instant 2, the signal has a defined value 4. Right. So -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. What are all these? All these are discrete instants of measuring the time instant, and hence the signal, since we measure the time itself at discrete, we are measuring at discrete time instant, the signal becomes discrete, right? Here we measure the signal at all instants of time and hence the signal becomes continuous. Here the signal is measured at discrete instants of time and hence it becomes discrete. So the independent variable in case of discrete signal is n, and the independent variable is measured only at discrete instants of time. Now friends, I'm going to tell you a very important thing about DT signal. DT signal is, if you look carefully, the measurement of DT signal is done at equal intervals of times. You could see here the instant from 0 to instant 1, the instant from 1 to instant 2, from 2 to 3. If you see, they are at equal distances. So the measurement is done at equal instant of time. Right? Suppose if you are measuring the population yearly basis, right? So how you have to measure the population? Suppose you measure it at in the year 1990, then you measure it at 1991, 1992, 1993, right? So you are measuring after every 1 year. Suddenly you cannot miss a particular year and jump to the next year. No, that is wrong thing. Discrete signal, in discrete signal, the instants, the difference between the instants of the signal, they are appearing after equal instants of time. So the distance between the two samples, if I say here, right, they are equally, these samples are equally paced, right? So whenever you are now drawing it in your book, make it a point that you are also maintaining the same equidistant samples, right? So these samples are equally placed. Now once again I'll revise the notations. So in the last lecture I told you that we will be denoting a CT signal with the independent variable t, and hence I call the signal as a function of t, x of t, right? How do I call the discrete signal? I am using the independent variable n, and hence the signal becomes x of n. So friends, I'll be using these particular notations to denote the xt, denote ct signal and dt signal. So CT signal we will always denote it by independent variable t, and we'll always use independent variable n for DT signal. So the DT signals are function of n, CT signals are function of t. So is this properly understood now? So with this now we move on to the next slide. So here there are some examples of CT signal. Let me look at the first example. I have called the signal as x of t. So if you look carefully at the signal, what do you understand? We understand that the signal is 0 up to -2. Then it takes some finite value in the region from -2 to 2. And then again it tends to 0. Can I call this signal as a CT signal? Definitely. Why? Because we know the value of the signal for all instant of time. What is the value at the time instant 5? Here somewhere? It's 0. Signal does not exist there. It means it is 0. What is the value of the signal at 10? 0. What is the value of the signal at 1? Yes, some finite value. What is the value of the signal at 0.5? Yes, it exists. Some magnitude exists. So for all the time instant the signal exists, such a signal is called as a CT signal. Right? Look at the second example. I've called the second example as, I've named the signal as S of t. Right? So what do you understand about this signal? This signal exists from time instant 1 to time instant 4. For all the other instants, this signal is 0. Right? And hence I know the value of this signal for all time instants. Right? It is 0 up to 1. It exists from 1 to 4 with a magnitude 2, and then it again becomes 0. Right? So what this particular axis indicates? This particular axis indicates the magnitude. So magnitude of ST is 2. So this 2 indicates the magnitude of ST. Whereas this 1, 2, 3, 4 indicates the time instants for which the signal is recorded. So understand the x and y axis properly when you are representing a signal. So the base always represents the measurement instants, whereas the y-axis always represents the magnitude of the signal. Let me come to the third signal now. MT. I have called the signal as MT. Right. So what do you understand about this signal? The signal is 0 up to -1. Then it takes some finite value, and I have shown the signal up to 5. What does it mean here? I have not terminated the signal, friends. I have not terminated the signal, right? It means that this signal tends to infinity. This signal goes on, remains to 4. The magnitude of the signal remains 4 up to infinity. When you don't terminate the signal, it means that the signal is tending to infinity. So can I say this signal is an infinite signal? Yes. Whereas what about this signal? This signal is finite signal. Whereas empty is infinite signal because it is tending to infinity. Even though it's tending to infinity, its magnitude remains 4. That is the meaning. Right? So whenever you see any signals which are not terminated, it clearly indicates that the signal is infinite signal. Right, let me talk about the last signal now. I've named it y of t. The base is t here. Right, so you are very well aware about this signal. Right, so this signal, is it finite, infinite? Definitely it is finite here because I've terminated it here. Right, if you have put some dots here, then it would have indicated that the signal tends to infinity. Right, so I have shown you 4 examples and I've tried to explain you CT signal. Right, so CT signal is one which is having values for all instants of time. Right, so you let it be finite. If it is finite, it means that signal is having some finite value within this range and it is 0 outside. Right, whereas if it is infinite, the signal remains to that magnitude for all the remaining instants of time. Right, this is what is the difference between finite and infinite signal. Okay, now let us see some examples of TT signals. Right, so 4 examples has been put for you. Let me talk about the first signal x of n. So look at the independent variable n. So I first of all observe that when I look at the first signal xn, that the signal exists from -2 to +3. This is what I understand, that this signal xn is existing from a time period of -2 to 3. Then what about outside this range? Definitely outside this range the signal is 0. No samples exist outside this range. It means that all the other samples outside this range are 0. There is no samples outside this range. Right. Now look at the magnitudes. Right. So understand here. Let me talk about the first sample at -2. What is the magnitude of the sample at -2? It is -1. What is the magnitude of the signal at -1? It is -1. What is the magnitude of the sample at 0? It is 2. Sample at 1 has a magnitude 2. Sample at 2 has a magnitude 2. Sample at 3 has a magnitude 3. So friends, try to understand. The base is the time instants, and whatever values I have written here above the sample indicates what? Indicates the magnitudes. Okay, so don't get confused with the numbers which are written here and the numbers which are written here. The numbers on the base indicates the time instants. So signal exists from a time instant of -2 to 3. But what are the magnitudes? The magnitudes are these. So this particular sample has a magnitude 3. This sample has a magnitude 2 and so on. If I talk about Yn exists from 2 to 5. Right? Yn exists from samples from 2 to 5. What are the magnitudes? So sample at 2 has a magnitude 1, even 3 has a magnitude 1, 4 has a magnitude 1, 5 has a magnitude of 0.5. Look carefully. The magnitude is non-integer. Yes, it can be. The magnitudes can take any value, but the base, the discrete time signal n, always takes integer values. So try to understand the difference here. Right? The base always takes integer values. Magnitudes can be non-integer. Right? The magnitudes can be non-integer. Right, friends? Let me talk about Sn. How is your Sn signal? Sn goes from again -2 to 4. Right, so what we understand when we look at Sn, that samples can take positive values, samples can take negative values, right, because they are magnitudes. right? Magnitudes can be positive, magnitudes can be negative, right? And this indicates the time instants of those samples, right? So if you look carefully, all these samples are equidistant. There is no sample here at 0. Absent. It is at 0, the sample magnitude is 0. Look at P of n. So the signal. Here what you see additionally, friends, are these dots. Can you see these dots? Right? So what these dots indicate? There are no dots anywhere else. But these dots exist only for PN signal. What is the meaning of this? These dots indicate that the signal is infinite in duration. Right? The signal is infinite in both the direction. There are dots in this direction also, there are dots in this particular direction also. It means that the signal is infinite in both the directions. So P of n is a infinite dt signal, whereas all the other examples yn, sn and xn all are finite dt signals, right? So it's very difficult to sketch infinite signals, and hence how we denote infinite signals? By these dots. So these dots tells us, the moment you put dots in the figure, what it indicates? It indicates that the signal is of infinite duration. This is the way DT signals represent the infinite signals, right? Is this clear? All these examples are clear? Let us now start with certain example. Right? So the title of the question is sketch the following CT signals, right? So I have given an example of a signal xt. So look carefully how I have described the particular example. So I have said xt takes a value 2 for the time period 0 to 3. xt takes a value -2 for the time period 3 to 5. Xt takes a value 0 elsewhere. Other than this, everywhere else, the signal xt is 0. So the question is, sketch the following signal, and the signal is described with this mathematical equation, right? So xt is described to you in a mathematical form, and you have been asked to sketch this signal. Right? I hope everybody is noting down and will sketch the signal along with me. So what is the very first step? What I need to do in step number 1? In step number 1, I have to look into my signal and decide what is the time period over which the signal exists and what is the time period over which the signal is absent. So if I look at the first two conditions given in the question, signal is existing from 0 to 3 and signal again exists from 3 to 5 and everywhere else it is 0. It means that I can say that signal exists from a time period from 0 to 5. Right, and hence in step number 1, if you see, I have plotted the x and y axis and I have labeled the time instants over which the signal is present. So signal is present at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Everywhere else outside this range the signal is entirely 0. It is 0 here, it is 0 here. Right? So signal exists in this particular time period only. So this is what I will do in step number 1. Right? I will identify the time period over which the signal exists. Right? So let us start now, try to plot this particular. Let us move to step number 2. So step number 2 says now we will plot the signal. Right? So what I have done here is I have plotted the signal. So let us discuss the plotting. Right? What do you understand here? How is the signal plotted? Can you analyze it? Can you analyze how the signal is plotted? Okay, let's discuss. So in the time period between 0 to 3, right? Time value between 0 to 3, the magnitude of the signal is 2. Right? So here if you see, I have taken the time instant 0 to 3. Right? And I have plotted something having a magnitude 2, right? So from 0 to 3, the signal continuously remains with a magnitude of 2. What happens from 3 to 5? From 3 to 5, the signal takes a magnitude of -2. So if you see, from 3 to 5, I have taken a negative magnitude, a negative scale whose magnitude should correspond to -2. What happens exactly at 3? Can I say this, the sample, the time instant 3 is taking two values. At 3 the signal is 2, at 3 the signal is even -2. Then how do we depict this into the figure? So for this what we need to do? So at 3, if you look here what has been done, at 3 the signal has a magnitude which is positive, the signal has a magnitude even with a negative. So this is how we join, this is how the signal is getting joined by a straight line. So at 3 signal has a magnitude which is positive also, at 3 the signal has a magnitude which is negative also, right? So this is what it indicates. And why did we terminate at 5? Why did we terminate this line at 5? Because after 5 the signal is 0. So I need to come back to 0. Right? And this is how the signal looks when it is being plotted. Right? So signal from 0 to 3 takes a magnitude 2. The signal from 3 to 5 takes a magnitude of -2. Right? So in step number 3, all the magnitudes are being shown to you, right? So look into how the magnitudes are put for you. So see here, at xt, the magnitude is 2, from 0 to 3, and from 3 to 5, the magnitude is -2. Without the magnitude, the signal has no meaning. Okay, listen friends, without magnitude, the signal has no meaning. So if you just plot the signal and miss the magnitudes, you are not going to get any marks, right? Because the signal has no meaning without magnitude. So putting magnitude is a very essential step in signals and whenever you sketch the signals. Okay, now let us try with the next example. So I have given the next example, ST. Note it down. ST is T from -2 to 3 and it is 0 elsewhere. So I want you to think on this. How would the plot of this particular signal look like? So ST is T from -2 to 3. ST is 0 elsewhere. Okay, so let us plot it together. What did I tell you? What should be your step number 1? Your step number 1 should be that you should decide the time range over which a signal exists and over which it is absent. So what do we understand? That this particular signal ST exists from -2 to 3, and hence in step number 1 what we have done here is we have marked the time period over which the signal exists. So the signal exists at -2, -1 to 3. Signal exists from -2 to 3. We have not taken any other time instant because everywhere else it is 0. So signal exists from only from -2 to 3. It is 0 outside this range. Right? So this is your step number 1. See how I have labeled the signal. The signal we are going to sketch is S of t and t. Need not miss any minute detail when you are sketching the signal. So you need to name the signal. So the signal that we are plotting is S of t with the base t. Right? So we are now ready to put our signal into this. So let us see how the signal looks when we plot it and try to understand how it is, what are the magnitudes it's going to take. Right? So you could see here I have sketched the signal for you. Let us analyze it together. So let us start with the time instant -2. Right? What happens at -2? So t takes a value -2. What is the equation of the signal? The equation of the signal is t. So whatever is the value of t, can I say is the magnitude of signal st? Yes. So t takes a value minus 2. Initially t takes a value minus 2. So st is minus 2 at time instant minus 2. So at minus 2, if you see, I have taken a magnitude of minus 2. Right. So this is the starting point. Now let me move to the next time. So next time I'll increase the time and make it minus 1. So at t minus 1, what is the magnitude of st? St takes the magnitude of minus 1 because st is t. Whatever is the value of t is the magnitude of st. So st is minus 1. So at minus 1, the signal takes the magnitude of minus 1. If you want, you can just show the points here. Put it in points. Right. Now at 1, at 0, when t takes a value 0. So st is t. So st becomes 0. So at 0, the signal has a magnitude 0. Right. At 1, when t takes a value 1, it is 1. St becomes 1. Right. So st is 1. At 2, it is 2. At 3, it is 3. Right. So I have marked all the points. Right. You can even see here. Right. So at minus 2, it is minus 2. At 1, the magnitude is minus 1. At 0, it is 0. At 1, it takes a magnitude 1. At 2, it takes a magnitude 2. At 3, the magnitude of st is 3. So now you know all these points. Now what you have to do? Simply join it. Right? So your signal is ready. So if I join these points, the signal is ready. So this is the line you have obtained. Right? But what do I know now? I know that the signal is 0 outside this range. So I have to make the signal 0. Right? So that's why I need to plot these vertical lines also. So this line which I draw here indicates that I have to terminate the signal. Right? Here I need to terminate the signal. That's why I put the signal down and make it 0. Right? So that's why the signal becomes 0 outside this range. Right? Is this clear to everybody? Just a minute. So finally look how the signal looks like. In this particular step I have put the magnitudes also. Right? So at minus 2, the magnitude is minus 2. At minus 1, it is minus 1. At 0, it is 0. At 1, it is 1. At 2, it is 2. At 3, it is 3. So finally, in the last step, I have put all the magnitudes and my signal is ready. So as I said, here we terminate the signal and bring it to 0. At this point also we terminate the signal and bring it to 0 because outside this range it is 0. So this termination is important, right? Because signal exists only from minus 2 to 3. Outside this it is 0. Right? Is this particular signal clear? We move to the next example now. So I've given you one more example. Empty. So try to plot this signal, particular signal empty. Follow the steps which I have told you. So how I have defined the signal here? Empty is t plus 1 for the time period minus 4 to 0. Empty takes a value 1 minus t for the time instant 0 to 2 and it is 0 elsewhere. So this is how the equation of the mathematical representation of empty is given to you. Using this mathematical representation, you have been asked to sketch this signal. Right? This is the most primary step when we move into signals and system to plot the signals from the given mathematical representation. Right? So using these equations, plot the signal. What do you do? As in step 1, we first look at the time instant over which the signal exists. So here the signal exists from minus 4 to 2. Right? So that's what I've done in step number 1. I have taken empty signal. I have represented the independent variable t and then I have marked all the time instants over which the signal exists. So the signal exists from -4 to 2. Right? So I have marked the time instants. Outside this time instant, the signal is 0. Right? So let me start with the first part, -4 to 0. What is the mathematical representation? It is t plus 1. Let me start with the first value of t. What is the first value of t? T takes a value of -4. When I put here -4, what is the resulting magnitude? -4 plus 1 becomes -3. Right? So at -4, I should get -3. Right? So look here, at -4, the magnitude is -3, right? Let me go for the next time. When t takes a value -3, what is the value? -3 plus 1, it is -2. So when I come to -3, what is the resulting magnitude we got? We got it as -2. So this is the value of, this is the magnitude of the signal at -3. What happens to the next time now? We'll now take t as -2. When I take t as -2 and put it here, what do I get? -2 plus 1 becomes -1. So the magnitude of the signal at -2 is -1. So this is how it is easy to calculate the things, right? Put the next time instant now, -1. So -1 plus 1, resulting magnitude is 0. So at -1, if you see, the signal is crossing a magnitude of 0. Right? So at -1, the magnitude of the signal is 0. What happens at 0 now? So at 0, it is, the magnitude is 1. So at 0, the magnitude is 1. So the way I had told you, plot these points, mark these points, and then later on you can join these. So at 0, it is 1. Now look at the other half of the equation. Now it's again taking a value from 0 to 2. So check out, at 0, when I put the 0, the magnitude is 1. So here also for 0 it is 1, here also at 0 it is 1. So at 0 we are at 1. There is no two values. At 0, both the equations are giving us same value. So we are at 0. We are at 0, we are at magnitude 1. Okay, no change. Now when we put t as 1, the next time value, now we'll put t as 1. The moment I put t as 1 here, what is the magnitude? It's turning out to be 0. And that's why you see at 1, the magnitude becomes 0. We are crossing the 0 here. Magnitude is 0 here. And finally the last value 2. When I put here 2, 1 minus 2 becomes -1. So you could see here at 2, the signal takes a value -1. Right? So let us show these points now. I'll just show these points. So what we just analyzed by putting the values, at -4 the magnitude is -3, at -2 it is -3, at -2 it is -1, at -1 it turned out to be 0, at 0 it is 1, and at 1 it is 0 again, at 2 it is -1. Now what we need to do is simply join these points, and that's how you will get the signal which is being shown to here in the figure. Simply join the line. Okay, join these dotted points that we have calculated, right? So you will get your signal. Once you mark the magnitudes, you can simply join it and get your resultant signal. Now what remains is these terminating lines. Why are these tending to 0? Why? Because we know that outside this signal, outside this time period, the signal is getting a magnitude of 0. That's why we need to bring it to 0. And hence after this point, I bring the signal magnitude to 0, because after which the signal is taking a value 0. Right? Here also I bring the signal to 0, because here afterwards the signal is 0. So this is how your signal is plotted. Now we'll see some examples of sketching of DT signals. Now we'll sketch some DT signals. Right? So the first example is shown to you, Xn. Xn takes 4 samples. Xn is a set of 4 samples. Sample having magnitude 1, 2, 1 and -1. So the very moment when a DT signal is given to you, what do you understand by looking at this? You understand that signal Xn is consisting of 4 samples. Signal Xn has 4 samples, right? So Xn exists for 4 samples, right? Now how do I mark as we have done step number 1 for CT signal, we need to repeat the same steps here. So I need to mark the independent variable n over which a signal exists. So I have 4 samples here. So these 4 samples exist where? From 0, 1, 2 and 3. So by default the sample starts at 0. And from here 4 samples. So this is the first, second, third sample and fourth sample. So these are the positions on which I'll be drawing these samples. Right, so my signal name is Xn. My signal is Xn. Independent variable is n. So don't forget to name the signal. Naming of the signal is very, very important. The way you have done it for CT, always name the signal. So I have named the signal as Xn. My given signal is Xn and my base is n. I have marked the discrete time instance over which the signal is present. And the next step, we will actually do the sketching. So in this particular step, I have shown how the signal is finally plotted. The DT signal is plotted. So let us look at the first sample. So the first sample has a magnitude 1. Right? So at 0, the sample has a magnitude 1. Is this clear? The first sample has a magnitude 1. At 0, the sample has a magnitude 1. The next sample has a magnitude 2. So the next sample appears at 1 and has a magnitude 2. Next sample is 1 again. It appears at time instant 2. The magnitude is 1. The last sample has a magnitude of -1. It appears at the time instant 3 and has a magnitude of -1. So this completes the plot of the discrete signal Xn. So Xn has 4 samples and these samples are having these magnitudes. So what is given here are the magnitudes. Try to understand. These are not time instants. These are the magnitudes of the signal which are to be plotted here. Right? The time instant is hidden. Right? So always the time instants begin at 0. Right? So this sample appears at 0. This sample appears at 1. This sample appears at 2. This sample appears at 3. Right? And what these numbers indicate? These numbers indicates their magnitudes. So please be very clear with this. This set which is shown to you, set of numbers, they are the magnitudes of the 4 samples, not the time instant. Let us now move to the next example. So I have shown example Pn. I have named the signal. I am calling the signal as Pn. Again, if I see here, I have taken the same numbers, friends. 1, 2, 1 and -1. Right? I have taken same numbers here. But there is one difference in the earlier example. Right? In the earlier example and the next example. There is one difference. And what is that difference if you identify? Is this arrow. Did you identify? That I have put an arrow. This arrow is part of the given problem, friends. This arrow is part of the given problem. Right? Then what is the importance of this arrow? What this arrow indicates? Right? This is everything clear? You can hear me? Okay, I'll proceed now. I'm very sorry for the interruption. Very, very sorry. Okay, we'll continue. So the next signal given to you is P of n. And what this arrow indicates? This arrow indicates here the zeroth position of the given samples. So P of n has 4 samples. Right? And the arrow here indicates the zeroth position of the sample. Right? In the earlier example, this arrow was absent. Right? So in that case, what is the meaning? The meaning was that the sample 1, the first sample appears at 0. The next sample appears at 1. The moment you put an arrow here, what is the meaning? The meaning is that this particular sample is existing at 1. Right? This sample is appearing at 0. I'm sorry, this sample appears at 0. So, if this sample appears at 0, this particular sample must appear at -1. This will appear at -2, and this particular sample will appear at +1. Right? So, did you understand the position? I'll repeat once again. This arrow indicates the 0th position of the sample. So, this sample is going to appear at 0. Right? Then the samples on the left hand side of the arrow will appear on the negative axis, whereas the samples on the right hand side of the arrow are going to appear on the positive axis. Right? So, this 2 will appear at -1. 1 will appear at -2. This -1 sample is going to appear at +1. So when I sketch the signals, how it will appear? It will appear that -2, you are getting a magnitude of 1. Right? And that is what is shown in the next sample. At -2, the sample has a magnitude of 1. At -1, it is 2. At 0, it is 1. And at 1, it is -1. Right? I hope this is clear. You could note down. Right? These are the magnitudes of the sample. Sir? Shall we move to the next example now? Let us go to Zn. So, a sample example is given to you. Zn has a sample, has an equation of n, and it exists from 3 to 7. Zn exists from 3 to 7. Right? And hence, the very first step what would do is, we'll first of all write the base over which the signal is going to exist. So, the signal exists from 3 to 7. Right? So, signal is going to exist from 3 to 7. So, let's start to plot it. Right. So, Zn has an equation n. Right. So, whatever is the value of n is the magnitude of the sample. So, Zn let me start at 3. When n takes a value 3, Zn has a magnitude 3. When n takes a value 4, Zn has a magnitude 4. So, at 3, the magnitude is 3. At 4, it will be 4. So, how the signal looks like? So, when we plot the signal, right, let us start. When n takes a value 3, the magnitude is 3. When n takes a value 4, it is 4. When n takes a value 5, the sample has a magnitude 5, and so on, right? So, this is how the signal looks like when it's being plotted. Let us take one more example. This time I have called the signal as A of n, right? So, how is the signal equation? The signal equation is n minus 2, and it extends from -3 to 4, and it is 0 elsewhere. So, we quickly understand here that the signal is present from a time period of -3 to 4. So, the very first step would be to draw the x and y axis, write the name of the signals a n and n, right, and then start to plot it with that mention the time period. So, the signal extends from -3 to 4. You could see here I have mentioned all the time instants over which the signal is going to be present. So, let us start to plot it now. So, let me start with -3. So, when I take -3, right, the very first value, what is the equation we get? -3 minus 2 becomes -5. So, at -3 what we expect? At -3 what we expect? We expect a sample of negative magnitude of -5. So, let us see how it looks. So, -3, if I put here -3 minus 2, we are getting a magnitude of -5. When I take -2, when n takes a value -2, what is the resulting magnitude? -2 minus 4, -2 minus 2 becomes -4. So, at -2 is -4. So, when such an equation appears, need not get confused. You just put the values of the n, calculate the magnitude, and plot those magnitudes for those time instants. So, at -1, it becomes -3. At 0, it becomes -2, and so on. Right? So, I hope you are able to sketch the signal right? Note down the equation and sketch it properly. Now we'll move on to the next part. What we discuss now are the singularity functions. So these singularity functions exist for both CT signals as well as DT signals. So we are going to discuss unit step, unit impulse and ramp signal in case of both CT signals as well as DT signals, right? So let us understand each of these singularity functions, right? So let us look at the singularity functions of CT signals. So the first signal is unit step signal, right? So unit step signal is denoted by U of t. Remember friends, these signals have fixed representations and fixed mathematical equation. You cannot change it. They are defined. These are defined signals. We cannot change these signals, right? So ut has a magnitude 1 for all the time period, for I could say for all the positive time period t greater than 0 to up to infinity, it remains 1, and it is 0 for all the negative time instants. So with this, if I plot the signal, it looks like this. So you could see here signal is taking the value plus 1 from the time instant 0 to infinity. So the signal remains 1. It is an infinite signal whose magnitude remains 1 for all the positive time instants, and it remains 0 for all the negative time instants, right? Such a signal is called as a unit step signal, right? We denote the signal by U of t. Next is unit impulse signal, right? How do you denote the signal? We denote the signal as delta t, right? And how do we mathematically write it? We write it delta t is 1 for t is equal to 0, delta t is 0 for t for other values other than 0. Everywhere else it is 0 for all other values other than 0, right? So this delta t, as you see, exists only for the 0th time instant. So when I sketch the signal is like this. It is existing only for the 0th time instant with a magnitude of 1, right? Everywhere else it is 0, and that's why the name impulse. What do we understand by the word impulse? Impulse is something which comes and goes away within fraction of seconds, right? Impulse is like a trigger, right? So trigger means you just give it momentarily, right? So this is like a trigger which appears at a time instant 0, remains for a time instant 0 and dies out, right? And that's why you call it as an impulse, something which suddenly appears and then dies away. That's why the name impulse. It is denoted as delta t, right? So this notation, you have to remember these notations, right? Unit impulse is denoted as delta t, and this is the mathematical representation of delta t, right? Now we move to the next singularity function, is the ramp signal, right? So how do I denote the ramp signal? I denote the ramp signal as r of t, right? Here it is denoted with the mathematical equation of t, right? So let us try to sketch the signal now. What is the mathematical equation? RT is t, which exists for all positive values of t and is 0 for all the values other than 0. So if you try to sketch the signal, how the signal looks like? The signal is 0 for all the negative time instants, and the signal is taking a magnitude of t for positive time instants. So how do I plot this? So if I start with 0, when t is 0, rt is 0. When t is 1, rt is 1. When t is 2, rt takes a magnitude 2. When t is 3, rt takes a magnitude 3, and hence what you get is nothing but a linear signal, and that you call it as a ramp signal. Is it finite or infinite? Yes, definitely it is infinite signal, right? It is an infinite signal. You can note down the signal, right? You can sketch it. You can sketch the signal. So that is the RT signal, right? Okay. Now we'll try to compare all the three singularity functions that we just discussed. Right? The first signal that we discussed was what? Unit step signal. The second we discussed was unit impulse, and third we discussed was the ramp signal. So how is the unit step signal? It is having a magnitude 1 and it remains 1 throughout up to infinity. How was impulse? Impulse exists only at the 0 time instant, and ramp signal exists from 0 to infinity again, right? And its value goes on increasing with time. It is increasing linearly with respect to time and goes to infinity as time tends to infinity. What I have shown here below is relation between these singularity functions. So how you can obtain delta t from ut, right? If you differentiate this signal, you get an impulse. If you integrate this signal, you get ut. If you integrate ut, you get ramp. So how these signals are mathematically related? So if you differentiate this ut, differentiation of a constant is 0. So what remains? It's only this. That's why you call this to be, when you differentiate this, you get an impulse. When you integrate this, you get, when you integrate delta t signal, that is unit impulse, you get unit step signal. When you integrate unit step signal, you get a ramp signal. You work it out. All these mathematical relations, you work it out, and you will see that these signals can be obtained. You can obtain these signals from each other, and that's why they are called as the singularity functions. Right? Now we move on to some other basic CT signals. Exponential signal. Right? You could see here, these graphs are corresponding to exponential signal. This is exponentially decaying signal. This is exponentially raising signal. So what is the governing equation? So the governing equation of these signals is xt is e raised to at. Right? Let us look at the first case. A is some integer here. So if I take the first case when a is less than 0, it means that a takes a value which is negative. What happens to the equation? The equation becomes e raised to minus at. Right, so how is this exponential signal? This is exponentially decaying signal. If I take, in case 2, if I take a positive, a is greater than 0, all the values of a are positive. Right, so in that case, how would be the sketch of exponential signal? It is going to be a raising exponential signal. Right, so this is a case of one more basic signal, which is exponential signal. Now we'll look at signum function. Right, this is one of the standard signal called as the signum function. How do you denote it? You denote it as SGN. Signum function is denoted as SGN. And see how it is mathematically written. It is 1 for t greater than 0. It is 0 for t equal to 0. And it is minus 1 for t less than 0. Right. So with this mathematical representation, if I plot the signal, how the signal looks like. Right, let me look at the first equation. Signum function is 1 for t greater than 0. Right, you could see here. For all the values of t greater than 0 means positive value of t. I am talking about the positive side of t. Right, all the values of t greater than 0, the signum takes a value 1. For all the values of t less than 0, the signum takes a value minus 1. Whereas at 0, the signal is 0, right? So, this is how I join it at, there cannot be any discontinuity. Why? Because it's a CT signal, right? You need to have a continuity. So, this is how at 0 I need to connect the signal and make it continuous, right? So, my signal is minus 1 for all the values of t less than 0. It is plus 1 for all the values of t greater than 0, right? And hence, this is a standard signal, right? It's called as a signum function. Henceforward, whenever we write signum function, this is what should come in front of you, that this is the signum function. These are standard signals. They are fixed. You cannot change it. Now we move on to singularity functions of DT signal. So again, we have three singularity functions the way we had studied for CT, unit step, unit impulse, and ramp. Now let us see unit step signal for DT signal. Right, the signal is U of n. We had denoted U of t for CT signal. It is called as U of n for unit step signal in DT signal. Right? How is the equation? It is 1 for all the positive values of n. Everywhere else it is 0. So with this mathematical equation, if I plot it, how is the signal? The signal takes up this UN, unit step signal, takes the samples of all having magnitudes 1 for all the range of positive values of n. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you could say up to infinity, all these samples are having a magnitude 1. Right? What these dot indicates? Yes, these dots indicate that the signal is tending to infinity. It doesn't end here. So these dots are very, very important. This signal extends to infinity. Right? So this is your unit step signal denoted by U of n, and this is how is the sketch of the signal. Let me move to the next singularity function, unit impulse. It is denoted as delta n. And how is delta n? Delta n takes a value 1 at 0. It is impulse again. So for dt signal, instead of delta t, I'll write it as delta n. My independent variable is n. Right? And the equation is same that we had studied for ct. Right? It takes a magnitude 1 for n is equal to 0. Everywhere else it is 0. So you could see here when I plot it at 0, the sample has a magnitude 1. Everywhere else it is 0. So it is impulse. That's why you call it to be impulse, which appears and dies out suddenly. Right? It's an impulse. Now third is the ramp signal. Right? So it's a dt signal, so I show my independent variable to be n. So independent variable n, the signal is r of n. And how is the equation? Equation is r of n is n for all the values, positive values of n, 0 everywhere else. Other than this means all negative values of n, it is 0. It exists only for positive values of n. So how is the signal? Rn takes a value 0. When n is 0, Rn is 0. When n is 1, Rn is 1. When n is 2, Rn is 2. When n is 3, it is 3. When n is 4, it is 4, and so on. See what these dots indicate. These dots indicate that signal doesn't end here. The signal tends to infinity. Right? So this is an infinite signal. It's a ramp signal. Right? So at 5 it is 5, at 6 it is 6, and this goes on up to infinity. So the ramp signal is an infinite signal with samples increasing with respect to time. Right? So this is the ramp signal. Right? So this was the topic of discussion for today. So we discussed about the various CT signals and DT signals. We saw how to sketch CT and DT signal, and within this lecture we even saw the basic singularity functions. Right? So with this I